We all know Keanu Reeves trained like a machine for John Wick. We've seen the shooting range clips, the judo flips, the gun fu choreography. But let's be honest, none of that prepared us for the moment when a man was killed with a pencil. Not a silenced pistol, not a ninja sword, a pencil. Suddenly, every office supply drawer became a potential crime scene. Somewhere out there, even a stapler is sweating. Since his debut in 2014, John Wick has carved, shot, stabbed, and occasionally bludgeoned his way into becoming one of the most iconic action movie characters of all time. Sure, the guns get most of the spotlight, but Wick does not limit himself to just firepower. Cars, knives, swords, books, belts, bottles. If it exists, he's probably used it to make somebody's day a whole lot shorter. That's what makes John Wick different from every other action hero. It's not just his arsenal of firearms or his mastery of martial arts. It's the fact that when you lock him in a room with nothing but IKEA furniture, you're the one who should start worrying. Because whether it's a high-powered assault rifle or, yes, a single sharpened pencil, in Wick's hands, everything becomes the deadliest weapon in the world. But before we explain every weapon used by John Wick, a real quick ask that if you're new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button now. It's one small click for you, but a huge deal for us. Thanks. Pencil. Ah yes, the humble pencil, the deadliest stationary item in cinema history. Forget sniper rifles and katanas, John Wick's reputation was practically carved into legend with a number 2 HB. We first hear about it from Russian crime lord Vigo, who terrifies his son with the story of how Wick once killed 3 men in a bar with a pencil. Even Vigo's brother shakes his head in disbelief, as if this tale was some drunken exaggeration, but then John goes ahead and proves it. In Chapter 2, cornered by assassins and bleeding, he grabs a pencil and demonstrates exactly why Office Depot should sponsor these movies. 2 assassins down in seconds, vital points stabbed, mobility gone, and then, just to really hammer the point home, literally, he drives the pencil through a man's ear like he's correcting a typo on the inside. The pencil is not just a weapon, it's a metaphor. It tells us that John Wick is as dangerous as the myths say, and that he doesn't need fancy gadgets to get the job done. Corner him with nothing but school supplies and you're still doomed. Lucky for his enemies, pencils are not always laying around. Otherwise, we'd be making videos about John Wick 12, The Office Depot Massacre. Book. If there's one thing that John Wick franchise has taught us, it's that absolutely anything can be a weapon in his hands. Even a book. In John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, audiences were stunned when Wick brutally dispatched an assassin in the New York Public Library using nothing but a thick hardcover. The scene is a masterclass in creative fighting choreography, showing John breaking his opponent's jaw, stunning him with blunt strikes, and finally snapping his neck with the book as leverage. This was not just brutality for shock value, it underscored John's resourcefulness and improvisation. Earlier films had hinted at his skill, such as when he used a bedsheet to restrain Miss Perkins during their hotel fight in the first movie. The book fight takes this idea to the extreme, reinforcing the theme that Wick does not need exotic weapons to be deadly. His environment is his arsenal. Beyond the spectacle, the scene also sets the tone for Chapter 3, showing that no matter how relentless his enemies may be, John will always find a way to turn the tables. Whether it's firearms, swords, or something pulled off a nearby shelf, John Wick transforms the mundane into instruments of destruction. Motorcycle. For most of us, motorcycles are about freedom, speed, or maybe compensating for a midlife crisis. For John Wick, however, a motorcycle is just another entry in his endless arsenal of improvised death machines. Forget guns, sometimes the Baba Yaga lets horsepower do the killing. In John Wick Chapter 3, we see him mount a Yamaha MT-09, a sleek street fighter bike built for speed and maneuverability. What does Wick do with it? Uses it like a guided missile. During a Paris chase, he weaves through traffic, causing multiple enemies to wipe out, and eventually weaponizes the motorcycle itself, sending it crashing straight into Chidi, one of the High Table's relentless killers. That's right, John Wick doesn't just ride bikes, he throws them. Sure, it doesn't pack 9mm rounds or a .338 Lapua punch, but who needs bullets when you've got wheels moving at 120 miles per hour? The MT-09's agility allows John to outmaneuver groups of attackers, turning the chase into vehicular slapstick with a body count. It's proof that anything Wick touches, even a mode of transportation, is destined to become a lethal instrument. The pencil, the horse, the motorcycle. At this point, the man could probably weaponize a unicycle. Knives. Knives. Simple, sharp, and silent. Basically, the Swiss Army option for assassins who run out of bullets or forgot their pencils at home. Wick doesn't just use knives, he personalizes them. He stabs, he slashes, and he even throws them like he's auditioning for the Olympics in knife throwing, a sport that should probably exist thanks to him. One of the franchise's most unforgettable sequences comes in John Wick Chapter 3 inside the antique store. Surrounded by glass cases full of blades, Wick does what any practical assassin would do, smashes the cases and starts hurling knives in a chaotic, almost comedic frenzy. Enemies throw them back too, turning it into a macabre version of dodgeball. The result? One of the bloodiest, funniest, and most creative fight scenes in action movie history. And of course, Wick does not stop there. He's equally efficient when it comes to one-on-one kills. Remember when he drives a blade straight into Ares' chest, Ruby Rose's mute assassin, in Chapter 2? Cold, clean, and brutal, Wick reminds us that while guns are flashy, knives are personal. After all, they don't jam, and they never run out of ammo. His bare hands. Now, here's the really scary part. Imagine surviving John Wick's guns, dodging his knives, even escaping his Mustang's front bumper, only to realize he doesn't even need weapons to end you. His bare hands are arguably his most lethal tool. Across the series, Wick cycles through martial arts styles like he's scrolling Netflix. Judo throws, Brazilian jiu-jitsu locks, Krav Maga strikes, and some good old-fashioned punches to the face. One second he's flipping a guy over his shoulder, the next he's choking someone out with her own tie. Ammo runs out, knives get lost, cars get totaled, but Wick's hands, always locked and loaded. The showdown with Zero and his shinobi pupils in Chapter 3 is a perfect example. Even outnumbered, Wick turns close-quarters combat into an art form. He fights like a man who skipped the weapons tutorial entirely and went straight to expert mode. In the end, the franchise's deadliest weapon isn't a blade, a gun, or a pencil. It's John Wick himself. The car. When most people think of cars in action movies, they imagine high-speed chases, gadgets from James Bond, or Vin Diesel growling about family. But John Wick, he looks at his car and thinks, that's a weapon. Specifically, his beloved 1969 Ford Mustang Mach 1. Now, this is not just a collector's item. In Wick's hands, it's a four-wheeled wrecking ball. In John Wick Chapter 2, when he finally reclaims his prized Mustang from a warehouse full of very unlucky henchmen, he does not just drive away like a normal person. No, he turns it into a battering ram on steroids. He crushes, smashes, and runs over enemies with surgical precision. By the end of the scene, the car looks like it just went through a demolition derby, and some fans couldn't help but wonder, was it worth getting it back? Spoiler, yes, because sentimentality beats body count in Wick's world. And just when you think that's it, Wick proves cars remain viable weapons later in Chapter 4, when he hurls assassins straight into Paris traffic by the Arc de Triomphe. Forget airbags, the only safety feature here is not being in John Wick's way. Nunchucks. If Bruce Lee made nunchucks legendary, John Wick made them terrifying again. Because, let's be honest, most people pick up nunchucks and end up smacking themselves in the face. Wick picks them up and suddenly masked assassins are just rethinking their career choices. In Chapter 4, Wick grabs a pair of nunchucks from a samurai display case like it's just another Tuesday. What follows is a masterclass in bludgeoning, strangling, and overall humiliation of his enemies. He whips, cracks, and twirls the sticks with ruthless precision, steering enemies into each other's bullets and proving that two sticks on a chain are as deadly as an AR-15 if you're the Baba Yaga. It's also a cinematic nod to martial arts tradition, only instead of a yellow tracksuit and Enter the Dragon, we get a black suit, bullet holes, and Enter the Trauma. Once again, John Wick reminds us, if it exists, he can turn it into a weapon, and yes, that includes toys from the martial arts section of a sketchy mall. Katana. When guns start to feel too mainstream, John Wick reaches for the katana, because nothing says style points like slicing through assassins with a centuries-old Japanese blade. In Chapter 3, during his duel with Zero's shinobi, Wick wields a katana alongside a wakizashi, the shorter sword traditionally paired with a katana, channeling his inner Kurosawa protagonist. The katana itself is legendary, forged since the 1300s, curved for speed, sharp enough to split a hair, and wrapped in centuries of samurai mythos. Historically, it was the soul of the warrior. In Wick's world, it's just Tuesday's murder tool. During his fight with Zero, every slash is surgical. John turns the duel into a high-stakes fencing match, except instead of scorecards, they have arterial spray. By Chapter 4, he's wielding katanas again during the Osaka Continental battle, teaming up with hotel manager Koji and his daughter Akira. Here, the katana is more than a weapon, it's a choreography, a visual reminder that Wick can pivot between firearms and feudal Japanese folded steel without breaking stride. The katana might not have a magazine or fancy optics, but it doesn't need them. In Wick's hands, it's as terrifying as a rocket launcher, with the added benefit of being really, really cool if you're a weeb. Belt. In John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, when bullets, razors, and swords fall short, John Wick simply unwraps his belt from his waist and turns it into a killer whip. This scene, set in the glass-floored chamber of Zero's lair, showcases Wick's improvisational genius and martial arts prowess combined. With enemies closing in, Wick yanks off his belt and lashes it at one shinobi, which sends the attacker reeling and crashing through the fragile glass beneath. The belt becomes both a restraining tool and a blunt instrument, quick, silent, and effective. It's a pivotal moment that underscores how Wick weaponizes his environment and his own clothing when literal weapons are unavailable. According to director Chad Stahelski, the moment was born from Keanu Reeves' creative instincts on set. The bit where he gets up and fights with the belt in the glass house, that's all Keanu fusing himself into it. This improvised use of a belt is not just clever action choreography, it's a reminder that John Wick becomes a weapon no matter what's at his disposal. Axe. In John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, nothing says, "I'm done with this," like an axe to the face. Coming right after the legendary knife-swapping maelstrom in the antique weapons shop, amongst the carnage, John grabs a fire axe and launches it into one last enemy's skull. It's iconic brutality wrapped in cathartic humor. This moment is unforgettable because it caps the knife fight with that perfect mashup of savage energy and dark comedy. Wick's chaos-coordinated weapon grabs dust from above and ends the body count with a satisfying thud. He's not really going for poetry so much as grim efficiency. Bulletproof suits. The Bulletproof Suit, first introduced in John Wick Chapter 2, quickly became as iconic as Wick's arsenal of firearms. More than just a fashion statement, these suits are standard issue among high-table elites and assassins, blending elegance with battlefield functionality. Crafted with Kevlar sheets sewn discreetly into the fabric, the suit is capable of stopping handgun rounds by dispersing the impact across its lining. When John checks into the Rome Continental for Santino D'Antonio's contract, the tailor introduces him to this innovation, with the seamstress demonstrating its protective capabilities. John's satisfied approval foreshadows how central the suit will become for his survival. The armor covers the torso and legs, and in later films, Parabellum and Chapter 4, Wick is seen shielding his face with the jacket's sleeve to block gunfire, a technique also used by Chidi and the Myrmidons. Despite its brilliance, the suit is far from invincible. Blunt force trauma still incapacitates, making every shot feel like a brutal punch. Low-velocity projectiles like arrows can pierce the lining, as seen in the Osaka Continental assault, while knives bypass protection entirely, as demonstrated in John's duel with Cassian. Against high-caliber rounds, sniper fire, or explosives, the suit offers little defense, and it remains useless against fire, including the devastating Dragon's Breath shells. Ultimately, the Bulletproof Suit is both a shield and a symbol. It defines John Wick's image, a man who brings death with elegance, surviving impossible odds in tailored armor that marries style with lethality. While not a weapon per se, he wouldn't get to use those weapons if not for the suit. Dragon's Breath shells. If the pencil is John Wick's minimalist murder tool, then the Dragon's Breath shells are his fireworks display. Introduced in Chapter 4, these shotgun rounds don't just kill, they ignite. Made with magnesium shards, Dragon's Breath ammo turns an ordinary shotgun into a portable flamethrower, spewing cones of fire up to 300 feet. Yes, these things exist in real life, but they're custom-made, often illegal, and basically the kind of ammo you'd expect a YouTuber to get arrested for testing in their backyard. In John Wick's hands, they're pure cinema. The iconic top-down sequence in Chapter 4 shows him torching his way through waves of assassins, lighting up the screen and his enemies in bursts of fire. Every blast is part death-dealing, part rave-lighting. It's violent, it's beautiful, and it's the closest we'll ever get to John Wick starring in a live-action video game. Dragon's Breath is not just a weapon, it's a spectacle. It elevates the fight scene into one of the most memorable in the entire franchise, proving that Wick does not just kill efficiently, he kills with style. It's not so much tactical advantage as much as it is cinematic fire hazard, and we love every second of it. Benelli M2 Super 90. By Chapter 3, John Wick is not just dodging bullets, he's dodging bulletproof bullets. The heavily armored hit squad storming the Continental Hotel shows up dressed like they've been shopping at Kevlar R Us, and Wick's usual arsenal suddenly feels like he's throwing paper clips at them. Although, he could probably kill them with paper clips too. Enter the Benelli M2 Super 90. A semi-automatic shotgun that's been in production since the 1980s, and a favorite among tactical units who like their boomsticks both reliable and stylish. In the film, Wick arms himself with armor-piercing 12-gauge shells, basically the video game equivalent of switching on cheat codes. The M2 itself comes in both tactical and field variants, with a shell capacity ranging from 4 to 7. Lightweight, fast-cycling, and easy to handle, it's like the Ferrari of shotguns, if Ferrari spat fire and shredded body armor. The showdown in the Continental is proof that Wick does not just shoot guns, he upgrades them mid-fight like he's in a Call of Duty loadout menu. The M2 allows him to level the playing field in a fight that looks otherwise unwinnable. And sure, the assassin's armor was bulletproof, but against the Benelli M2 Super 90, their only real mistake was showing up to a gunfight with any kind of confidence. Wick's message was clear: no armor in the world is safe when you're on his to-do list. Benelli M4 Super 90. But the Benelli M4 Super 90 is not just one of the most iconic tactical shotguns in the world, it's also one of John Wick's most devastating weapons. This 12-gauge semi-automatic shotgun is famed for its incredible reliability, accuracy, and power in close-quarters combat. In Chapter 2, the Baba Yaga acquires the M4 from the famous gun sommelier in Rome, where he carefully selects weapons for his mission to assassinate Gianna D'Antonio. The Benelli M4 that Wick uses is heavily customized by Taran Tactical Innovations. His model features competition-style upgrades, including a fixed stock for better stability, a titanium nitride bolt for smoother cycling, and an attached shell loader for rapid reloading. These modifications allow Wick to fire faster, reload quicker, and transition smoothly between targets. The shotgun becomes his weapon of choice in the final act of the Catacombs sequence after he runs dry with the TR-1 rifle. Viewers watch in awe as Wick delivers devastating close-range blasts, ripping through waves of attackers with brutal efficiency. The Benelli M4 Super 90 balances raw stopping power with elite performance, perfectly suited for Wick's tactical, aggressive style. It stands out as one of the deadliest firearms in his arsenal and remains a fan-favorite weapon from the franchise. Smith & Wesson SW1911 SC E-Series. John Wick may be a man of many guns, but sometimes subtlety is key. Well, subtlety by John Wick standards. In Chapter 2, we see him square off against Cassian, a rival assassin, who's as skilled as Wick himself. Their duel takes place in the least discreet place imaginable, a crowded subway. But instead of spraying bullets like the NYPD, Wick whips out the Smith & Wesson SW1911 SC E-Series, fitted with a suppressor. Now, gun enthusiasts watching the scene were probably laughing, because no silencer in the world could make two men exchanging gunfire sound like somebody dropping pencils in a library. But that's the John Wick aesthetic. Realism meets operatic coolness. The SW1911 SC itself is Smith & Wesson's modern take on John Browning's legendary 1911 pistol design. It comes in various finishes and materials, all with that classic single-action semi-auto feel that gun collectors drool over. In the movie, Wick uses the E-Series to keep his duel with Cassian almost comically low-key, trading suppressed shots while commuters mind their own business, like, it's just another Wednesday in New York. It's stylish, it's sleek, and it proves that Wick doesn't just rely on firepower. He relies on precision, timing, and a little cinematic absurdity. When you can make subway shootouts look polite, you're operating on a whole different level. Dueling Pistols. After a franchise full of custom Glocks, shotguns, and tactical rifles, how does John Wick bow out? By going full Shakespeare. In Chapter 4's climactic showdown, Wick and blind assassin Kane abandon modern firepower and face each other with dueling pistols, ornate single-shot hand cannons straight out of the 18th century. Forget night vision scopes and extended mags. These pistols fire one round at a time, reloaded like they're museum pieces, and yet in the film's most operatic moment, they feel like the deadliest weapons Wick has ever touched. The choice of these pistols is extremely deliberate. They're not just props, they're also symbols. John Wick's story began as a classical revenge tragedy, and so it ends with him using a weapon that embodies ritual, honor, and inevitability. The pistols themselves, likely modeled on Thompson Center Arms Encores, feature custom nickel plating and chamber .45 to 70 cartridges, massive rounds that hit like freight trains. They're as much art pieces as they are weapons, unveiled in elegant wooden cases, as if death itself deserved fine presentation. In their duel, each shot feels like destiny, not combat, and while the bullet to Wick's gut seems to seal his fate, the real point of these pistols is cinematic poetry, stripping away modernity to remind us that revenge stories at their core are timeless. Kel-Tec KSG. If the Benelli M2 was John Wick's scalpel, the Kel-Tec KSG was his sledgehammer. This bullpup 12-gauge shotgun looks like it was designed by someone who thought normal shotguns aren't terrifying enough. Introduced in 2011, the KSG is compact, modern, and brutal, with twin magazine tubes under the barrel that gives it a whopping 15-round capacity. That's not double-barreled, it just looks that way, fooling more than a few moviegoers into thinking Wick was wielding some sort of futuristic cannon. We see this beast in the first John Wick film, when our grief-fueled assassin disarms an enemy outside a church and decides to borrow their shotgun. The KSG's pump-action mechanics, combined with Wick's precision, turn a grim street fight into a massacre. And because John is John, his version is customized with a holographic sight and foregrip, because if you're going to devastate your enemies, you might as well do it with ergonomic comfort. The KSG has a reputation in real life for its stopping power, making it popular for home defense and tactical use. In Wick's hands, though, it's less home defense and more total neighborhood clearance. Unfortunately, we don't see this monster return in later films, but for its brief screen time, the KSG made sure every reviewer knew one thing: if John Wick is holding it, you're already dead. TTI TR-1 Ultralight. When you're John Wick and you know an underground catacomb ambush is coming, you don't just grab a rifle, you stage a museum of death. Among his stashed weapons in Chapter 2 sits the TTI TR-1 Ultralight, courtesy of Taran Tactical Innovations, the same folks who trained Keanu Reeves in real life. This rifle is compact, sleek, and so efficient it looks like it should come with a warning label: may cause excessive funerals. The TR-1 Ultralight in the film is kitted out with a collapsible stock, pistol grip with a vertical foregrip, and a PRI compensator to manage recoil. It's chambered for 5.56 rounds, which means plenty of stopping power without losing control in tight quarters. That's key, because Wick isn't exactly engaging enemies on open fields. He's mowing them down in crypts where echoes of gunfire mix with screams of panic. Outside the movies, the TR-1 is so iconic that airsoft enthusiasts worldwide started snapping up replicas after its big screen debut. In other words, Wick doesn't just influence fashion, he influences weekend hobbyists armed with BB pellets. In the catacomb sequence, the TR-1 Ultralight shows why Wick is terrifying. It's not just the gun, it's how he uses it. To him, every weapon is an extension of his efficiency, and the TR-1 might be one of the cleanest examples of pure tactical artistry. Coharie Arms CA-415. Before Wick graduated to Dragon's Breath shells and ceremonial dueling pistols, he introduced us to the Coharie Arms CA-415 in the very first film. This assault rifle, essentially an American clone of the German HK-416, proves that John does not need flashy tech to turn a church suit out into a massacre. With a shortened barrel, holographic sight, and vertical foregrip, Wick's customized CA-415 is all about controlled devastation. The CA-415 fires 5.56 by 45mm NATO rounds, capable of semi-auto precision or full auto chaos depending on Wick's mood, which usually swings between angry and murderous. This rifle was designed for tactical reliability, and in Wick's hands, it looks like the perfect middle ground between military efficiency and cinematic flair. In Chapter 1, Wick lures his enemies into a church, then unloads with the CA-415 like he's clearing out bad karma. The rifle's distinctive look and ferocity make it one of the more memorable firearms in his early arsenal, even if later films would overshadow it with flashier tools of destruction. What makes the CA-415 interesting is how grounded it is. Unlike Dragon's Breath rounds or Pencils of Doom, this rifle's a real-world, practical weapon, yet on screen it just became iconic. When Wick grips the CA-415, you don't think, ooh, tactical rifle. You think, oh, everyone in that room has about 5 seconds left to live. TTI SIG-Sauer MPX Carbine. If guns had Instagram influencers, the TTI SIG-Sauer MPX Carbine would be posting gym selfies daily. Flashy, feature-heavy, and sporting accessories like an MRO sight and a laser module, this carbine does not just shoot, it flexes. In Chapter 3, John whips out the MPX during the Continental Siege, and it's like watching a masterclass in gun fu choreography. Chambered for 9x19mm, .357 SIG or .40 Smith & Wesson, the MPX offers variety in its bite. While the extended magazines let John choose between 10, 20, or 30 rounds of pure regret for his enemies. But the real spectacle is not just the bullets, it's Wick's weapon stance, precision posture, and the kind of focus that makes you wonder if he secretly teaches yoga on the side. The MPX is not just another rifle, though. It's a reminder that John Wick picks up a gun and turns a shootout into interpretive, bloody, loud ballet. TTI JW4 Pit Viper. Now, this one isn't just a gun, it's also movie merch. The TTI JW4 Pit Viper was literally designed for John Wick Chapter 4, making it less of a firearm and more of a character cameo. Crafted by Taran Tactical, this 9mm pistol was a gift from the Bowery King to Wick, because when you're about to duel Donnie Yen in a suit, you need more than luck. You need a custom sidearm. The Pit Viper comes tricked out with flared magwell for lightning-fast reloads and a built-in compensator to tame that recoil. Basically, it's the sports car of pistols, sleek, loud, and maybe not the most practical daily driver. Gun enthusiasts might call it substandard for self-defense, but when John Wick is holding it, practicality is not the point. On screen, it slices through assassins like butter on hot pavement, carrying Wick closer to his climactic churchyard duel. Stylish, cinematic, and borderline over-engineered, the Pit Viper is proof that even John Wick's guns get star treatment. Remington 1875. Nothing says modern assassin like whipping out a revolver that probably sat next to Wyatt Earp's mustache wax. The Remington 1875 is a single-action, 6-shot revolver that cowboys swore by in the late 19th century, and in John Wick Chapter 3, Keanu Reeves shows us it still has plenty of bite left in its old bones. During the Antique Weapon Museum sequence, John finds himself in the middle of a gun history lesson while assassins are actively trying to end his enrollment. He spots the Remington 1875, but plot twist, the ammo doesn't fit. Most men would panic, but John Wick instead does the Clint Eastwood cosplay, tearing apart another revolver to MacGyver a working hybrid in seconds. Tuco from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly would have nodded in approval. The Remington 1875 is chambered typically for .44 to .40 Winchester rounds, known for their stopping power back in the day, and while it lacks the high-capacity firepower of Wick's modern toys, it brings an aura of nostalgia and cinematic flair. Think of it as the vinyl record of guns, outdated but undeniably stylish. In John's hands, it transforms from a cowboy relic to an execution-grade weapon, proving some classics never die, they just reload a bit slower. Glock 26. If John Wick were a minimalist, the Glock 26 would be his Marie Kondo certified sidearm. Compact, efficient, and reliable, this little Austrian wonder appears in all 3 of the first Wick films, making it one of his most faithful companions. While assassins around him are carting flashy rifles, grenade launchers, and bulletproof suits, John is content pulling out what police officers and FBI agents call the baby Glock. Don't be fooled by its size, this is not a Nerf gun. The Glock 26 packs a 9mm punch with a 10-round mag that can be extended when John feels particularly generous with the body count. The bathhouse scene in the first John Wick is where the Glock 26 truly shines. Hunting down the man who killed his beloved dog, John delivers a ballet of bullets that's part massacre, part interpretive dance, leaving over a dozen henchmen floating in bloody pools. What makes the Glock 26 dangerous is not just its firepower, but how easily you can conceal it. It slips into a suit jacket like it's made for contract killers with fashion sense. Reliable, accurate, and devastatingly simple. It's the pistol equivalent of black coffee. No frills, no gimmicks, just cold, unfiltered efficiency. And in Wick's hands, it sparks zero joy, except for the audience. Glock 34. The Glock 34 is John Wick's primary sidearm throughout much of John Wick Chapter 2, and it perfectly represents the assassin's philosophy of blending precision, speed, and reliability. Essentially a long-slide version of the Glock 17, the Glock 34 is highly favored in competition shooting circles due to its extended barrel length, which provides improved accuracy and reduced muzzle flip. Wick acquires the pistol in Rome during his appointment with the gun sommelier, alongside his other carefully chosen weapons for the mission, of course. Wick's Glock 34 is not a standard model, obviously. It's been outfitted with Terran tactical modifications to maximize performance. His pistol includes a titanium nitride finished barrel, giving it both durability and a distinctive golden appearance, as well as a flared magazine well for lightning-fast reloads under pressure. Wick wields the Glock 34 with typical lethal precision during the Catacombs shootout, particularly in the opening third of the scene, where he showcases rapid target transitions, accurate double taps, and tactical reloads mid-fight. The pistol also sees significant use during the electrifying concert sequence, where Wick demonstrates its versatility against multiple well-armed opponents. With its sleek design and competition-ready enhancements, the Glock 34 is a symbol of Wick's relentless efficiency. Not just a handgun, it's an extension of his deadly skill set, making it one of the most recognizable weapons in the entire series. Colt Model 1903 Pocket Hammerless. When your mentor/business partner hands you a gun in a luxury lounge, you know it's going to be something special. Enter the Colt Model 1903 Pocket Hammerless, gifted to John by Winston in Chapter 3 Parabellum. Despite sounding like it should come with a monocle and a bowler hat, this semi-auto pistol was once a U.S. military staple. First produced in 1903, it became popular among officers who needed a sleek, dependable sidearm that wouldn't snag on clothing, hence the hammerless design. The film version stands out thanks to its pearl grips, which scream gangster elegance more than battlefield practicality. Chambered in .32 ACP or .380 ACP, the Colt 1903 doesn't boast the stopping power of modern 9mm pistols, but it more than compensates with reliability and classic style. It's the type of weapon Al Capone might have tucked into his coat before heading to a speakeasy, and here it finds a new life in the hands of cinema's most feared assassin. While John doesn't get an extended shootout with it, the Colt's inclusion is a reminder that sometimes a weapon is not about raw firepower so much as legacy, symbolism, and looking good while ending someone's bloodline. And if there's one thing John Wick nails, it's style points per kill. DTA Stealth Recon Scout. If rifles had resumes, the DTA Stealth Recon Scout, or SRS, would brag about its bullpup design, its precision over a mile, and the fact that it's compact enough to fit in a New Yorker's apartment. Introduced in 2007 by Desert Tactical Arms, this bolt-action sniper rifle wasn't built for showing off. It was built to ruin someone's day from an uncomfortable distance. John Wick puts it to clinical use in the first movie, when he starts picking off Vigo's men like he's swatting flies from across the yard. The rifle is chambered for a .338 Lapua Magnum, the kind of round that doesn't just hit you, it sends your soul packing. Thanks to its bullpup design, both bolt and magazine sit behind the grip, redistributing the weight to make it more stable and less of a shoulder killer. Slap on a suppressor and it becomes the introvert's dream, silent, deadly, and doesn't need to get close to people. The audience's satisfaction when John snipes his way through Vigo's defenses is like watching karma unfold in high definition. The Stealth Recon Scout is not flashy, but it's the kind of rifle that makes enemies think twice before peeking out of a window. In Wick's hands, it's a one-way ticket to the obituary section. Heckler Koch P30L. If John Wick had a business card, it would probably just be a picture of the Heckler & Koch P30L. This long-slide pistol is his original signature firearm, dug up in the first movie when he literally unburies his past, along with a stash of gold coins and bad memories. Chambered in 9x19 Parabellum with a 15-round mag, it's not just reliable, it is an extension of John Wick himself. The P30L first went into production in 2006, and Wick's version comes with a custom compensator that keeps the muzzle rise down, making every shot unnervingly accurate. Fans will remember it from the first home invasion shootout, the infamous Red Circle nightclub massacre, and the brutal Dockside finale. Add in its hexagonal muzzle shape and intimidating silhouette, and it's easy to see why this pistol is forever linked with the legend of the Baba Yaga. Kimber Warrior 1911. Few guns in the franchise are as symbolic as the Kimber Warrior 1911, the pistol that comes with one of John Wick Chapter 2's most iconic moments. After being battered, betrayed, and hunted, Wick is armed by the Bowery King with this classic piece, and exactly 7 bullets, for the $7 million bounty on his head. Cue the immortal line, "Somebody please get this man a gun." Based on the US military's MARSOC-issued 1911, the Kimber Warrior is rugged, reliable, and gorgeous in action. Wick uses it during the art gallery shootout, pulling off slick reloads, including a one-handed press check that had every gun nut in the audience nodding with respect. Though he soon swaps it for enemy weapons once the ammo runs dry, the Kimber Warrior serves as a symbolic spark, the gun that reignites John's war against the High Table. Tactical STI 2011. In John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, one of the standout shootouts takes place at the Continental Hotel, where John Wick and Charon team up to defend Winston's sanctuary from an endless wave of high-table assassins. To begin the fight, Charon leads John into his hidden armory, where they both arm themselves with the Tactical STI 2011, a double-stack competition variant of the classic 1911, chambered in 9x19mm Major. This pistol is built for competitive shooters who require high magazine capacity and stability under rapid fire. Initially, the pair unleash these weapons with impressive precision, cutting down foes with ease. However, the high-table mercenaries are equipped with bulletproof tactical armor, rendering the pistols less effective. This forces John and Charon to abandon them and switch to shotguns loaded with armor-piercing shells. Despite its limited cinematic effectiveness in the scene, the Tactical STI 2011 stands out as a modernized evolution of the century-old 1911 platform. Its double-stack magazine offers a tactical advantage, while its ergonomic design makes it fast and reliable in competition or close-quarters combat. Even though it fails against advanced armor, the pistol is a significant addition to Wick's ever-growing arsenal. Sig Sauer P320. In John Wick Chapter 2, Wick briefly uses the Sig Sauer P320, a modular, striker-fired pistol renowned for its adaptability and reliability. During his confrontation with Ares and her crew, Wick acquires several P320s, showcasing their accuracy and straightforward handling. Chambered in 9mm, the P320 stands out because of its modular frame system, which allows shooters to swap calibers and sizes by changing out the fire control unit. This adaptability has made the P320 a favorite among professionals and recreational shooters alike. The pistol is also fully ambidextrous, featuring slide catches and magazine releases accessible from either side, which adds to its universal usability. Its exceptional recoil management and balanced design allow for quick follow-up shots, an essential trait in the high-paced action combat sequences of the Wick franchise. Outside of the movies, the P320 has been adopted as the standard-issue sidearm for multiple law enforcement and military organizations worldwide, including the U.S. Army, where it's designated as the M17 or M18. In the film, its presence is brief but meaningful, underscoring Wick's ability to adapt and dominate with any weapon he lays his hands on. It reflects the series' attention to authentic firearms that blend cinematic flair with real-world practicality. Walther CCP. The Walther CCP makes its appearance in John Wick Chapter 3 during one of the film's most adrenaline-filled sequences, the motorcycle chase scene. John Wick disarms an assassin who attempts to take him out with a compact pistol fitted with a compensator. Lightweight at just 1.4 pounds, the CCP, concealed carry pistol, is designed for everyday self-defense, chambered in 9x19mm parabellum or .380 ACP with an 8-round magazine. Its standout feature is the soft coil gas technology, which reduces felt recoil and makes it easier to handle for extended shooting. In the movie, its small size and easy concealability are emphasized as Wick seamlessly turns his attacker's weapon against him in the middle of fast-paced chaos. The version shown in the film is a stainless steel duotoned model, one of several available variants. While not John's weapon of choice, the CCP's role highlights his signature ability to improvise with whatever is at hand. Compact, accurate, and practical, the Walther CCP is a modern self-defense pistol that blends portability with performance, making it a fitting yet understated addition to the franchise's wide array of showcased firearms. Kimber Solo CDP. The Kimber Solo CDP appears in John Wick Chapter 2, but not in the hands of John himself. Instead, it is carried by a female assassin attempting a discreet hit on Wick in a creative sequence. She conceals the small frame pistol inside a violin case, using the suppressed weapon to blend into her surroundings before attempting the ambush. The Solo CDP is chambered in 9x19mm with a 6-round magazine, making it a true concealed carry firearm. It is ultra-compact and lightweight to cater to those seeking reliable personal defense in an easily hidden package. In the film, the assassination attempt obviously fails, but the inclusion of the Solo CDP adds depth to the franchise's portrayal of professional killers who rely on clever concealment and stealth tactics. The suppressed configuration emphasizes subtlety and lethality, fitting the role of an assassin. Beyond the movie, the Kimber Solo CDP is known for its premium craftsmanship and ergonomic design, although its limited capacity makes it less suited for prolonged firefights. In the world of John Wick, however, even compact weapons like this remind audiences that danger can emerge from anywhere, even the case of a violin. And that was each one of John Wick's weapons explained. What are your thoughts? Which one's your favorite? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss these deep dives and strange lore. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks.